Good afternoon on the YouTube channel of the Media Center Ukraine Odessa, and I would like to remind that you can ask questions online. Just scan the QR code that you now see on the screen. On the 5th of November, the Russian occupiers attacked Odessa, first using ballistic missile and then combat drones. As a result, more than 30 residential houses were damaged, and also the well-known museum all over the world was damaged that evening. Our speakers are Kateryna Kulay, acting director of the Odesa National Art Museum; Natalia Gumenyuk, head of the Joint Coordination Press Center of the Defense Forces of the south of Ukraine; and Volodymyr Belenky, associate protection officer, Odessa office of UNHCR. Let's start with the consequences of the attack for the Odessa National Art Museum. Have you already assessed the losses as of the 9th of November? We are still assessing, and so we don't have the exact numbers at the moment, but we can say that there are no critical damage to the museum or the building, but unfortunately they are still wide-scale. We need time and money to restore the museum. If I'm not mistaken, this is the third time the Odessa National Art Museum has been damaged. Actually, this is the fourth time, because last summer we saw first damages after the Odessa port was struck. But what we had last Sunday is now the worst. Do you have any companies, philanthropists, who are ready to support the museum? Yes, we have a lot of support. UNESCO, the International Foundation Alive, the Marisly Club NGO that has been created to support the Odessa National Art Museum. And we are also very thankful for the initiatives of the local population, because people just keep buying souvenirs, and we can use the money obtained to support the museum and our staff. The attack was on the 5th of November, and on the 6th of November, you were supposed to celebrate the 124th anniversary. Kateryna, could you say that that was done on purpose? My personal opinion that our enemy is not that smart to be aware of the anniversary of the museum, but there is always such a possibility. Could it be a revenge because there are the sculptures of the founders of Odessa, including the monument of the Catherine the Great? Yes, and they should just respect her. So there can be such assumptions, yes. Natalia, you say that on the contrary, the enemy tries to attack the port infrastructure facilities, and that was by mistake that they attacked the museum. We just assess the facts. It is very difficult to understand what's going on in their heads. We just use the data that we have. And it is obvious that the Onyx missile they used is anti-ship missile. And this has its peculiarities when it comes to its use. So it can attack those targets that somehow resemble ships. And the enemy uses these missiles to attack targets in the vicinity of water. But we have seen several times that these missiles struck urban areas. That was during the attack on the 19th of July, when the Onyx missile just missed the port and struck city blocks. And here we can see the same situation, and it is most probably that they targeted the port infrastructure facilities. I asked Kateryna about the possibility of attacking precisely the museum. And such a missile cannot be used to attack a building. This not can be, for example, a museum building because of the specifics of the Onyx missile. It just flies very low over the water to attack a ship. So they could use it, for example, to attack the port infrastructure facilities, and that was their target. And this is obvious, and this is not the first time that they miss their target. They are not precise enough, these missiles. And because of that miss, the missile struck the residential area. The Russian media say that that is the missile of the Odesa air defense system and not their missile. We do not comment the statements of the aggressor states because they always lie. Dear colleagues, do we have any questions to our guests? And now I would like to give floor to Volodymyr about the organizations that will support restoration of the museum. What can you say on behalf of the UN? I am representing here not the whole UN, but the Odessa office of the UNHCR. We're humanitarian organizations, and together with our partners in the Odessa Oblast, this is the 10th of April, the right to protection, stabilization support, service, and interest provide humanitarian aid. On the 5th of November, together with our partners from the NGO, the 10th of April, we provided the repair kits to repair windows. The first day, to around 40 kits for 40 families, and the next day, 20 more kits for families in the residential houses. The right to defense, another NGO, our partner, registered all those who suffered that attack to be able to get support from the UNHCR. Thank you. Do we have any questions from our colleagues? Mikhail Shtakel, Media Center, Ukraine, Odessa. Volodymyr, can you provide more details? Because UNHCR and other international organizations have been represented during this war, in particular in Odessa, for quite a long time ago. And so you just disseminated the film near the museum. This is only one of the activities of your organization. What else has been done with respect to other attacks in Krayan, Prospect Shevchenko? What other support is provided by international organizations, including the UN? We are trying to provide aid as soon as possible because we understand that first hours are critical for those people who need support. And when it comes to support and aid, it is not only about boards or nails, it is also the legal support, because together with the partners, we provide advice on the spot, how to get aid from the city, from the oblast. Everything is coordinated with the municipal council, with the oblast council. Secondly, we provide mental support, because people need that support, and also we provide monetary support, because that day and the next day we register those people affected by attacks for them to get money for the restoration. We also support the city and the oblast with the construction materials. So we provide construction materials to private houses in the form of the slate or concrete, or we can provide construction materials to construction companies. Last winter, and also we're planning to do the same this winter, we will provide generators to support critical infrastructure facilities. Last year, we provided 2 kilowatts generators to support water power supply at the pump station at Chumka, and also in Chernomorsk, Teplodar, and Kilya. These are powerful 200 kilowatt kilowatt generators that support critical infrastructure facilities, and we are going to do the same this year as well as other partners. We will also cooperate with condominiums. We have received several requests from condominiums through the regional administration, because not all condominiums can buy generators themselves to ensure water supply. And I think that this year we will be able to provide generators for the house in 36 Sakharova Street, because this is a big building, residential building, and they last year faced water supply issues. And this year, UNHCR has provided monetary support to 51,000 persons. 42,000 persons received the support, and our main objective to support around 52,000 people. Maria Tarasova, Inter TV channel, is this a kind of a fixed monetary support? Thank you very much for your question. We have expanded the funds that we provide. Last year it was 2,222 hryvnias. This year it will be more than 3,000 once per month during 3 months. Additionally, we are going to support vulnerable categories of people for them to be able to buy winter clothes and to buy food utilities. So that will be additionally 2,220 hryvnias during 3 months. So the general amount will be more than 17,000 hryvnias during 3 months. Kateryna, and the Russian missile hit the Armenia Museum several days ago. As far as I understand, you've already got the inventory in terms of the destructions. Could you tell us the updated information about the damages and the art pieces of the museum? And I think that many people are concerned with when the museum will be again opened for at least temporary exhibitions. Thank you for your question. The part of the museum in the Sofievska Street has been damaged. The other part, which is facing the sea, fortunately, has not been damaged. And there is only dust there. As for art pieces, luckily, the temporary exhibitions that were at that moment at our museum were not critically damaged, but there is also dust there, which is unsafe for paintings. But the group of restorators have already visited our museum, and in the nearest future will organize work to restore the condition of those art pieces and paintings. The administrative building has been heavily damaged, and unfortunately, in the nearest future, will not be able to work there. We need to change that location for administrative staff. As for the opening, that will be at the beginning of December, as expected, but we try not to be in haste, because we understand that this is the museum, this is the architectural monument as a building, and we need to be careful about the art pieces, because this is the national heritage. That's why we try to do everything properly. And if everything's fine at the beginning of December, the museum will open again. But we don't know what halls will be opened and what entrances, because the central doors, the central gates have been heavily damaged. On Facebook, one of the painters, I don't remember who was that, published the photos of the damaged museum, saying that that was the greeting from the conceptual Russian art to the Ukraine's conceptual art. Have you been contacted with Russian artists to support you? I can't say at the moment, because Over the last days, I have been focusing more on how to better organize activities and provide information to mass media, but I have not been contacted by Russian artists. Natalia, after every Russian missile attack on our area, the journalists discuss the publications of the place where the missiles hit the area. In this case, everything was published very quickly. Videos and photos were published in one of the channels. An MP published that information, but that was without photos. I have a question about the photos and videos. Have you identified those persons who published that, who disclosed those videos and photos? And have you taken any measures to explain to them that that should not be done? And the second question, do you see any scenario of the Russia's attacks? Because this is not for the first time when they first use Onyx missile and then drones being more resultful for Odessa. Is there is analysis that you can share with us? As for the first question about publication of photos and videos, we should understand that under the conditions of the hybrid war, it is very important what information is disclosed and why is it disclosed. And this time, we've seen messages from MPs and some of the officials, and also the social media and like Telegram channels, and some of them they serve as mass media because they inform masses. And this is a painful issue because it has not been regulated by the law, but the relevant authorities, they deal with such issues. And because in that case there was a massive attack, and such information helps the enemy to understand the results of the first way of an attack, when it comes, for example, to see this precise case. We deal with all the issues, starting with the MPs and the Ukrainian citizens who were very emotional and published everything, and the relevant authorities, they just ensure that awareness-raising campaign, but unfortunately, not all people understand the importance of this topic. We cannot say now that the second way with drones brought more results to the enemy. We're still investigating the case, and I would like to use the example of the recent attack to remind that during air raid alerts and after the air raid alert, it is recommended to wait for 3 hours before publishing your videos and photos that you made during the air raid alert. And I would also like to call people to save their lives, not try to make content. And quite often, when people publish anything at once, something at once, they just help the enemy. We don't have enough resources and we don't have the powers needed to affect that situation, but we still keep raising awareness among the population, among mass media, and among officials of our country. And that's why I would like to say that in the nearest future, we could expect such attacks. And so please just follow the recommendations of the military command. We are not interested in limiting your media contact. We just want to save people's life. And about second question about scenarios of the enemy. We cannot just identify here some sustainable scenarios. We've mentioned on several occasions that the enemy tries to develop the most efficient tactics. And the same is for us when we work on the countermeasures. This is an ongoing process. That's why we cannot say that they will follow some specific protocol or a sustainable scenario. They are trying to find ways to increase efficiency of their attacks. And they also can see that our preventive measures have been improved, and they try to find the vulnerable and the weak points. Alena Milova, Premier Channel, the question about another missile attack. Yesterday, was this the first hit of the missile of the commercial vessel? Will it affect the grain corridor? That was not the first time when they hit a vessel with a missile. I can say that the type of missile Ha-31, that was for the first time when such missile hit a vessel. But at the beginning of the full-scale invasion in March and in April, they attacked vessels with missile. Unfortunately, there were people killed in Mykolaiv Oblast. In Olvia port, there was an attack, and a citizen of Bangladesh, a member of a crew, was killed. And Millennium Spirit, that is a flying Hollander, was just for the long time in the Black Sea, and we could not do anything because that part of the water area was blocked for navigation, and that vessel was damaged by a missile attack. There was one more vessel on raid in the Yuzhny port that was also hit by a missile, so this is not for the first time. But that missile was targeting a coastline to find air defense equipment. At that moment, a vessel was calling the port, and it was hit because of the type of the missile used. So radar station of the vessel just attracted that missile. And of course, the enemy should be blamed for that because the process of calling started way before the start of the air raid alert, and it was impossible to stop that process. And the enemy just launched a missile against a peaceful object, and this is a crime against humanity, and the prosecutor office investigates accordingly. Can you provide information about those people injured and killed? That was a Ukrainian pilot died because of that attack. He was piloting a vessel to the port. The superstructure of the vessel was attacked. And also 3 members of crew, the citizens from Philippines, were injured. One of them was referred to a hospital, and as far as I know, the condition is not that severe, and they will be fine. What will happen to the vessel in the future? This will be settled at the level of port interaction. I don't have information about the ship owner response, but the damage to the vessel is significant, and the vessel cannot leave the port now. Could this attack have a negative effect on the grain corridor? This is the factor of aggressor about which we warned everyone, At the opening of this navigation humanitarian corridor, we have openly explained the risks, and this is up to ship owner to decide to take this risk or not, to ensure the navigation and to fulfill the contract signed. I don't think that this will have a critical impact on this corridor, because this is not for the first time when the vessel is struck. And still there is a demand for the humanitarian corridor in the Black Sea from ship owners, despite the fact that we don't have international guarantees. If there have been guarantees from Turkey, from the UN, and we would have been provided protection in a different way, but now it is up for ship owners to decide. Kateryna, can you tell us about the condition of the museum staff? Has this attack affected the people there? The staff of the museum is okay, but I think that it could be changed in the future. It was just so that there was no time to panic, to be shocked, because we keep working, and every person has some duty, and this does not allow us to feel just depressed, because everyone feels okay at the moment because they have their duties to perform. And what are you going to do with the celebration of the 124th anniversary? Because some events were planned for Monday. They were planned for the weekend, because yes, our anniversary was on Monday, but on Monday museum is traditionally closed, and during the weekend we want to have free entrance, excursions, so we prepared some presents, but I think that we will postpone that. We have not discussed this in details. And you also mentioned restorators. Are they from Odessa? Yes, this is Odessa branch of the Restoration Center. Are there any more questions? No questions. Thank you very much for being with us today. We are looking forward for the opening of the museum, and the next briefing will be at noon.